The market deal asterisk, the space station buzzed with noise, loud voices, flashing lights, and sharp smells filled the air. The marketplace was alive with traders, criminals, smugglers, and hunters. No laws ruled this place, only money, power, and cruelty. Jason walked slowly through the crowded paths. He kept his head down, eyes sharp. He had seen many things across the galaxy, many bad things, but today something made him stop. In a dark corner of the market, a large drunk alien stumbled. He held two young alien girls by chains wrapped around their necks. The girl's skin glowed softly, one with pale pink tones, the other light blue. Their eyes were wide with fear. Their clothes were dirty and torn. The drunk waved a metal cup, shouting to the nearby crowd, "Look at these two pretty little pets, aren't they? Worth thousands. But today, I'm feeling generous." He laughed loudly. One drink, and they're yours." The people nearby laughed. Some threw coins, others jeered. No one cared. No one stepped forward. The girls shivered as the man tugged on their chains, yanking them forward like broken toys. Jason's jaw tightened. He hated this. He hated seeing slaves treated like garbage. He stepped forward slowly. The crowd fell quiet. As they saw him approach, the drunk alien looked up, blinking his red eyes. "You interested? Human? Hey, take them both. Cheap today." Jason's voice was calm, but his eyes were cold. "One drink." The alien laughed again. "One drink. That's all. I'm thirsty." Jason looked at the bartender nearby and pointed. "Give him a drink. Top shelf." The bartender, amused, poured a glass of strong alien whiskey and handed it to the drunk. The drunk grabbed the cup greedily, slurping it down in seconds. "Deal done," he shouted, wiping his mouth. He dropped the chains at Jason's feet. "Enjoy. Your pets. Human." The crowd laughed again, but Jason didn't laugh. He crouched down slowly. The two alien girls backed up, terrified. Their eyes begged him not to hurt them. He spoke softly. "Easy. You're safe now." He gently reached for the chains, unhooking the metal collars from their necks. The girls gasped as the chains fell to the ground. They stared at him, confused. "Go on," he said. "You're free." But neither moved. They stood frozen, breathing heavily. One of them whispered in a small, shaking voice, What do you want from us?" Jason shook his head. "Nothing. I'm not like them." The pink-skinned girl spoke softly. "You will sell us later." "No." The blue-skinned girl asked. "Then why buy us?" Jason's voice was firm, but gentle, because someone needed to stop this. The two girls looked at each other, still trembling. Their lives had been full of pain, fear, and broken promises. Kindness was something they did not understand. Jason stood up and offered his hand. "Come with me. You'll be safe." For a long moment, they didn't move. Finally, slowly, the pink girl stepped forward. Her hand touched Jason's. The blue one followed, their small fingers wrapped around his palm. Their hands were cold, then weak. Jason squeezed gently, guiding them forward. The crowd watched in silence. Nobody laughed now. As they left the marketplace, whispers followed behind. "Stupid human. Wasting credits. He'll regret it." But Jason didn't care. He led them through back passages to his ship, a small but well-kept vessel hidden at the edge of the station. Inside, the girls looked around, wide-eyed. The ship smelled clean. The lights were soft. The air was warm. It didn't feel like a prison. It felt safe. Jason spoke softly. "You're free to rest. You're not prisoners here." He handed them blankets, warm food, and fresh water. The girls sat quietly on the edge of a small bed, unsure if this was another trap. Jason sat on the other side of the room, giving them space. "You don't have to be afraid of me." He paused before speaking again. "What are your names?" The pink girl spoke first, her voice barely a whisper. "Alira." The blue one followed. "Nia." Jason smiled gently. "Alira, Nia. You're safe now. No one will hurt you anymore." But deep inside, both girls still carried heavy fear. They had been hurt too many times before. Kindness was harder to trust than cruelty. Far behind them, on the station, the drunk was already bragging, and in the shadows, dangerous men whispered, "He stole property. We want them back." The hunt had quietly begun. Learning to trust. They expected chains. They expected pain. They expected to be sold again. But instead, he made them dinner. Inside Jason's ship, everything was quiet. Alira and Nia sat close together on a small bed. still gripping each other's hands tightly. Their big glowing eyes stayed locked on Jason, watching every move. Jason moved calmly around the ship's small kitchen. He prepared warm food and poured clean water into cups. There was no shouting, no threats, no chains, just silence. Finally, Jason placed the plates of food on a small table. He didn't move closer. Eat as much as you want, he said softly. The two girls looked at the plates, confused. Hot, fresh food. They had not seen real food in a long time, but they didn't move. Nia whispered, "Is it safe?" Jason nodded. "I made it for you." Alira stared at him with wide eyes. "No one gives food without taking something." Jason shook his head. "You owe me nothing." Minutes passed. Finally, hunger defeated fear. Nia took a tiny bite of soft bread. Her eyes widened. It was good. Safe. Real. Alira followed quickly, eating slowly at first, then faster. Jason smiled softly, but stayed silent, giving them time. After the meal, Jason handed them clean clothes and warm blankets. "There's a shower if you want to clean up." The girls stared at him again. "You're not going to lock the doors?" Jason shook his head. "You're not prisoners." They changed into fresh clothes, washing off the dirt and sweat of many terrible months. When they returned, their glowing skin shined softly, their long hair clean and untangled, but the fear still remained in their hearts. Jason finally sat across from them. "My name is Jason." He paused. "I want you to understand something very clearly." The girls held their breath. Jason's voice was gentle but firm. "You are not slaves. Not here. Not ever again." The words hit them like a shock. Slaves. That was what they had been. Traded. Sold. Forgotten. Now someone said they were not. Alira's lips trembled. "But you paid for us." Jason nodded slowly. "I paid to stop that drunk from selling you to someone worse." Nia whispered, "But you could have walked away." Jason's voice grew softer. "I couldn't." The room fell quiet. The ship's soft engine hum was the only sound. Finally, Nia asked, "Where are you taking us?" Jason answered simply, "Wherever you want." Alira blinked, her voice shaking. We don't have a place." Jason smiled. "Then stay here, as long as you need. My ship is your home." The girls looked at each other, completely overwhelmed. No one had ever said those words to them. Later that night, as Jason sat near the controls, he heard soft footsteps. Alira and Nia stood near him. Alira spoke quietly, "May we stay close?" Jason smiled gently. "Of course." They curled up on a small bench near him, resting their heads together. For the first time in many months, they slept without chains. But outside the station, something darker was already moving. The slave hunters had heard about Jason's actions. Inside a shadowed office, a cold voice spoke. "The human interfered. He took what belongs to us," another voice hissed. "He won't keep them for long." Tracking beacons activated. Small hunter ships launched into space. The chase had begun. But inside Jason's ship, as the stars floated by, Alira whispered softly in her sleep, "I feel safe." Nia smiled faintly, her voice like a whisper. "Me, too." Jason glanced at them, silently promising himself, "No one will ever hurt you again." The hunters closed and answers. They finally felt safe. They started to smile. They started to hope. But some people couldn't let them go. Jason's ship floated quietly through space. The stars sparkled outside the large window. Inside, everything was peaceful. Alira and Nia sat beside Jason at the control panel, their eyes wide, full of curiosity. Jason smiled. "See that star cluster?" he asked. The girls nodded. "That's where I grew up." They stared at the distant light. "It's beautiful," Nia whispered. Jason nodded. Double quotes, "And now you get to see it free, with no chains." Alira tilted her head. "It still feels strange." Jason asked softly, "What does?" Alira's voice trembled. "To be free." Nia added quietly, "We don't know what to do." Jason smiled gently. "You can do whatever you want. You can learn, explore, be children again." He showed them how to operate simple controls. Alira learned fast. Nia giggled as she spun a small map globe of nearby planets. For the first time, they weren't scared. They were happy, but far behind them, the hunters were closing in. On a dark ship, the lead hunter growled at the screen. "Target located. The human is heading toward Sector 5. His second-in-command hissed. "We'll intercept him before he reaches the rebel zone." Jason's ship glided into the edge of a small asteroid field. He slowed the engines. Time to rest here for the night. Inside, Alira helped prepare simple meals. Nia folded blankets. They were starting to act like a small family later, as they sat eating together. Alira asked softly, "Jason, why did you really save us?" Jason put down his cup. He looked at them. "Seriously, because you deserve saving." He paused. "My wife and my daughter were taken from me years ago." The girls stared, eyes wide. "I couldn't save them, but I could save you." Silence filled the room. Alira whispered, "You could have sold us for credits." Jason smiled. "You are not for sale." Nia whispered, "Can we stay with you, always?" Jason's heart warmed. "Of course, as long as you want." That night, as the ship drifted slowly among the asteroids, the girls slept peacefully. Jason watched over them, his mind full of both warmth and worry. Suddenly, warning lights flashed. His scanner beeped sharply, multiple ships approaching. Jason's jaw tightened. He recognized the shapes immediately. Hunters. The lead hunter ship hovered at a distance. A message came through. A cold voice filled Jason's ship. "You stole property that belongs to us. Surrender the girls." Jason replied firmly, "They are not property." The voice hissed, "Then you'll all die inside." Alira and Nia woke. Hearing the voices, Nia ran to Jason's side. Frightened, "They found us." Jason pulled her close. "I promised to protect you, and I will." Alira stood bravely beside him. "We'll fight too." Jason smiled. "You're both very brave, but I'll do the fighting." The hunters moved in fast. Jason's ship weaved through the asteroids, dodging the first shots. The hunters fired blasts, rocks shattered all around. Jason flew with skill, using the asteroids for cover. Inside, Nia grabbed Jason's arm. "Can't we just run?" Jason shook his head. "They'll keep coming unless we stop them." The lead hunter ship launched boarding hooks. 2 small hunter crafts lashed onto Jason's hull. Boarders were coming. Jason handed the girls small emergency devices. "Go to the safe room. If anything happens, press this." Alira protested. "But we can help." Jason smiled gently. "You help by staying safe." The door slid shut as Jason faced the incoming hunters alone. Heavy boots slammed onto the ship's floor. Dark armored hunters marched in. Their red visors glowed. Weapons ready. Jason raised his blaster. The first shots fired. The fight had begun. The escape and the first fight. They came to take back what they called property. But they didn't expect a human who wouldn't let go. And they didn't expect how much these girls had changed. The door burst open. Heavy boots echoed inside Jason's ship. The hunters marched forward in black armor, weapons raised. Their glowing red visors locked on Jason. The leader spoke with a cold voice. "Step aside. The girls are coming with us." Jason stood firm, blaster in hand. "You're not touching them." The hunter growled. "You think you can stop us alone?" Jason narrowed his eyes. "Try me." The first hunter fired. Jason rolled to the side, returning fire. The blast struck one hunter's leg. Dropping him, the others rushed forward. Jason moved fast. He knew every corner of his ship. He ducked behind a metal crate, firing quick bursts. 2 more hunters went down, but there were still many inside the hidden safe room. Alira and Nia watched on a small screen, their hearts racing. Nia clutched the emergency device. Alira whispered, "He's outnumbered." Nia shook her head firmly. "He saved us. Now we help him." Alira's hands trembled. "But how?" Nia remembered what Jason had taught them over the past few weeks. About the controls, about the traps, about the secret systems. She reached for the control panel. "We're not useless anymore." Back in the fight, Jason dodged another blast. His arm was grazed, burning with pain. He was breathing hard, but refused to fall back. "I won't let you take them," he shouted. Suddenly, a soft voice came through his earpiece. It was Nia. "Papa, we activated the defense system." Jason's eyes widened. "You did?" "Yes, the corridor traps are live." Jason grinned through the pain. "Good job, girls." He lowered the remaining hunters into a narrow hallway. As the hunters chased him, floor panels opened beneath their feet. Powerful electric shocks zapped through their suits. The hunters fell one by one. The last hunter tried to retreat. Jason fired one final shot, hitting him squarely in the chest. The ship fell silent. Jason stood in the smoking hallway, chest heaving. They were safe for now. The safe room door opened. Alira and Nia rushed out, tears streaming down their faces. They ran straight into Jason's arms. Nia sobbed, We didn't want you to fight alone. Jason held them tightly. You saved me too. They stood there for a long time, hugging, breathing, feeling each other's warmth. The fight was over, but as Jason checked his scanners, his smile faded. More ships are coming. The hunters had sent a signal before being defeated. Reinforcements were approaching fast. Jason looked at the girls. We have to leave. They quickly prepared the ship for escape. Jason jumped into the pilot's seat. Hold on tight. The engines roared. The ship blasted through the asteroid field at high speed. Enemy ships fired behind them. Rocks exploded all around. Alira and Nia watched nervously, holding onto each other. Jason stayed calm, weaving between floating boulders. His voice was firm. We'll make it. The enemy ships closed in. Missiles launched. Jason pulled the ship into a sharp dive. 2 missiles collided with nearby asteroids, creating massive debris fields. The hunters struggled to follow. Finally, Jason saw an opening ahead. The border too. Rebel protected space. He slammed the throttle. Come on. Blinding lights flashed as rebel ships appeared, locking onto the hunters. You're safe now, Jason, came Mira's voice over the comm. The hunters turned back, retreating quickly. Jason sighed with relief. He turned to the girls. We did it. Alira whispered, are we free now? Jason smiled warmly. You've always been free. Now everyone else knows it too. The girls hugged him tightly again. Their family was stronger than ever, but they all knew this was not over yet. There were still people out there who wanted to take back what they thought they owned. The confession of fear. The fight was over for now, but even after escaping danger, sometimes the scariest battle is inside the heart. The ship floated peacefully inside the rebel-controlled zone. No hunters. No threats. Just silence. But inside Jason's ship, the weight of fear still lingered. Jason patched his wounded arm while Alira and Nia sat quietly nearby. They both watched him with wide, worried eyes. The girls hadn't said much since the fight. Jason finished wrapping his arm and turned toward them. His voice was soft. You're safe. We're safe. You did everything right. Nia whispered. But they'll keep coming, won't they? Jason nodded slowly. Yes, they might. But we'll be ready every time. The girls lowered their heads. Jason leaned closer. Talk to me. What's going on inside those heads? Alira spoke first. Her voice trembled. We don't know how to be free. Jason blinked. What do you mean? Nia's small voice followed. All our lives, people told us what to do, where to stand, when to speak, when to eat. Alira added softly, now we're free, but we're afraid we'll lose it. We don't want to lose you. Jason's chest tightened. He reached out and gently placed a hand on both their shoulders. You're not going to lose me. You are my family now. That's never going to change. The girl's eyes filled with tears. Nia whispered, we don't know how to live without being scared. Jason smiled softly, then we'll learn together. He pulled both girls into his arms. They held him tightly, as if afraid letting go would make him disappear. Jason whispered, freedom isn't something you feel right away. It's something you practice, day by day, and I'll be here every step with you. The girls stayed wrapped around him for a long time. Later that night, they sat together in the control room, watching the stars. Jason pointed at distant planets and shared stories. Slowly, the heavy air of fear began to lift. Suddenly, the communication screen beeped. Mira appeared on the screen, her face calm but serious. Jason, we intercepted new chatter. Jason leaned forward. What is it? Mira answered, the slave hunters are furious. They placed a bounty on your head, a huge one. Alira and Nia gasped. Jason kept his voice steady. How much? Mira answered, enough to draw the worst kind of people across half the galaxy. Jason's jaw tightened. They won't stop until they take the girls. Mira nodded. That's why I'm sending rebel ships to guard you, but you need to stay alert. This isn't over. Jason ended the call and turned to the girls. They both looked scared again. Nia whispered, more will come. Jason placed a hand on her head gently. Yes, but listen to me carefully. You're not helpless. You've already proven how strong you both are. Alira looked up. We're not weak anymore. Jason smiled. No, you're not. And we face whatever comes next. Together. They sat quietly, but stronger now. Not because the danger was gone, but because they finally believed they were not alone. Far away, deep in space, bounty hunters and mercenaries received the open contract. Cold men with cold hearts whispered to each other, The human with the two alien girls. Easy credits. We'll find him. But Jason wasn't the same man who walked into that marketplace. And Alira and Nia were not the same frightened girls chained at the neck. They were family now. And together, they would stand. Asterisk, the final battle for freedom. Asterisk, they called him a fool for buying the slaves with one drink. But now, as bounty hunters closed in, they were about to learn just how far a human father would go for his daughters. The quiet days didn't last long. The bounty hunters arrived fast on small ships, large cruisers, stealth fighters, all chasing one target. Jason's ship died inside. Alarms blared. Jason checked the scanners. They're everywhere. Alira stood beside him, her voice steady. We fight, right? Jason nodded firmly. We fight together. The rebels had already sent a small fleet to help, but they were still far away. Jason had to hold them off. Outside, the bounty hunters surrounded his ship. Their leader sent a message. Jason, turn over the girls, and we'll let you live. Jason responded sharply. They are not yours. They never were. The hunter laughed coldly. Then we take them by force. The first wave of attacks started. Blaster fire struck Jason's shields. The ship rocked. Alira and Nia stayed by the control panels, helping with shield management and countermeasures. Nia's voice shook, but stayed strong, shields holding at 60%. Jason grinned. Good job. Just keep them up, little one. He pulled the ship into sharp turns, flying between nearby asteroids and debris fields. Jason's skill kept them one step ahead, but more hunters closed in. Suddenly, a few bounty hunters managed to latch onto the hull with magnetic claws. Boarding. Tubes extended. Jason grabbed his blaster. He turned to the girls. You both stay here. Lock the door. Alira stepped forward. We fight together. You promised. Jason sighed. I know, but your safety comes first. Before he could argue more, the door burst open. The hunters forced their way inside. The battle inside was fast and brutal. Jason fired. Dropping the hunters quickly, Alira threw a metal crate at another, knocking him back. Nia activated the inner traps, electrical shock zapping the invaders. The girls moved quickly, no longer frozen by fear. They trusted themselves now. They trusted each other, but the lead hunter pushed forward, bigger and stronger than the rest. He grabbed Jason, slamming him against the wall. Alira screamed, "Leave him alone." She ran forward and fired Jason's backup blaster. The shot struck the hunter's shoulder. Nia joined, throwing a shock grenade. The blast threw the hunter backward. Jason pushed himself up, breathing hard. He smiled at his daughters. You're amazing. They stood together, backs against each other, watching as the last few hunters retreated. The ship shook again as another wave of enemy fire struck from outside. But then, flashes of bright blue light filled the windows. Rebel ships had arrived. Mirrors. Fleet blasted through the enemy lines. The bounty hunters quickly turned and ran. Unable to match the rebel firepower, Jason slumped down in the pilot's chair. The fight was over. Mira's voice came through the calm. You held them off long enough. Jason, well done. Jason smiled weakly. Couldn't have done it without my girls. Alira and Nia sat beside him, exhausted but proud. Later, as the ship docked safely inside a rebel base, the three of them stood together on solid ground. Rebel officers saluted. Jason. Mira walked over, placing a hand on his shoulder. The bounty's been removed. The hunters won't dare touch rebel space again. Alira whispered to Nia, Are we finally safe? Jason answered before Nia could. Yes, truly safe. Asterisk, a new family among the stars. Asterisk, they bought freedom with courage. They fought for it with love. Now, it was time to finally live it. The rebel base was full of life. Humans, aliens, and refugees moved side by side. Laughter replaced fear. Hope replaced pain. And in the middle of it all stood Jason, Alira, and Nia. Finally free, Jason walked the halls with both girls beside him. Their heads were high now. No more chains. No more collars. Just family. Mira met them near the hangar. Her face was warm. You three have become famous around here. Jason smiled. Fame's not what I wanted. Mira nodded. But you earned it. She looked at Alira and Nia. You both fought like warriors. Alira's eyes glowed softly. We had something worth fighting for. Nia added proudly. We had each other. That night, under the stars, they gathered on a small balcony overlooking the quiet galaxy. The girls sat beside Jason, leaning against him. Nia whispered, Do you think it's really over, Papa? Jason smiled at the word, Papa, which still warmed his heart every time. Yes, little one, it's over, and even if trouble comes again, we'll face it together. Alira asked softly, what happens now? Jason looked up at the endless stars. We live, we explore, we find new places, we help others like us. The girls smiled wide. Their fear was finally gone. The next day, the rebels held a small ceremony, not to honor warriors, not to celebrate battle, but to honor something stronger, family. Mira stood before the crowd in a galaxy full of cruelty. One man made a choice, not for power, not for profit, but for kindness. She gestured toward Jason and the brave girls who were once victims now stand free. Stronger than ever, the crowd cheered. Jason spoke next, his voice full of emotion. I didn't save them. They saved me. They reminded me what it means to care, to fight, and to love again. He placed a hand on Alira's and Nia's shoulders. We are not bound by blood, but we are family. The cheers grew louder. Tears filled many eyes. After the ceremony, Jason took the girls back to the ship. Their home, the safe place. As they sat inside, Alira whispered, we'll never go back to being slaves. Jason smiled, never. You are free forever. Nia added, we're not scared anymore. Jason nodded. You've both grown into something beautiful, not just survivors, but strong, free people. Later that night, the ship quietly lifted off. Jason, Alira, and Nia stared out the window at the stars ahead. A whole galaxy waited for them. Not as hunted victims, not as broken souls, but as a family, strong, united, and free. And as the stars blinked around them, Jason whispered, wherever we go together. The girls smiled, leaning against him, forever.